there in these schemas. So we can create a database which has only one schema and that has many tables. We will learn about this in the later parts of this series also, but for now we will stick to databases. And so you can keep everything as it is written by default here, and you can create you simply type a database name here. For example, let's say we are creating database for a school, so you can write db school and keep everything default here and click create. Now you will see in our server, which is running at 127.0.0.1 or local host. So this is the IP address for local host. So in our local host a new database is created, and we are currently inside this database. If I'll select this Phpmyadmin, now you will see we are inside this server, but we are not inside any particular database. So we can click on this database and now we are in this database. So this is how you can create a database and you can get inside a database. Then here you can see there is a simple instruction to create table. So here name is written and number of columns is written. So name will be actually the name of our table which we want to create, and number of columns are actually as per the planning, that how many columns should be there in the first table that we want to create. Suppose we want to create a table called TBL, let's say TBL is school. So while naming your tables or while naming your database, so when I named a database I used DB prefix here, and in case of table I am using TBL prefix here. So by using this naming it will be clear to us that this particular object is a table and this is a database. We can write underscore also. So we can use a space, but you should avoid using a space in table names. Use a underscore instead. So TBL underscore is school is the name of our table here, and we have 4 columns here. So actually this will be created after planning that what fields do you need in your table. For example, if you are creating database or if you are creating table for a school, so there will be school name, and there will be, let's say, email of a school, website of a school, address of a school, or phone number of a school, then which board. So there can be these things here, and school name, email, website, address, phone number, and board. So now if we will count the number of columns there, so the number of columns are 6 here. So again, as per the requirement of the project, as per the requirement of the organization for which this particular database is being created, so these things will be discussed with them, and then we'll be able to decide how many columns or how many attributes of this particular table are required. So, and remember one more thing, I am teaching you the process of creating database and table without writing any SQL query here. So we are not writing SQL queries here. We are creating database and data table without SQL queries. And after doing this, I will also show you how you can do the same thing by writing SQL queries. So you have to remember both process, because sometimes you will be asked to create databases using queries only. So, or for faster processing, you can use this UI method also, which is there in phpMyAdmin. After explaining about the simple process of creating a database and creating a table in phpMyAdmin, I will also explain you about using MySQL Workbench. MySQL Workbench is official graphical user interface tool for MySQL. As you can see, it's official tool, official GUI tool. So it is very important to know MySQL Workbench. So when this particular server is running, when XAMPP is running in our computer, so we'll see a local instance here. So this is the connection that is available. If you will click it, so it's saying that it's incompatible. We can create new connections here. We can give it a new name. Let's say XAMPP. We can give it any name here. Host name, the IP address of the host on which IP address of the server on which our database is running here, and username, root, default schema. You can click OK. You can click on this, continue anyway, and now you will see it is open. You can see schemas here. You can see our DB school is already created here. So I will explain you the process of downloading and installing MySQL Workbench, and how we can use MySQL Workbench to do the same thing that we are doing here using phpMyAdmin. And now I am again going back to the process of creating a table using phpMyAdmin. Here the name of table is TBL school. Number of columns that we discussed are 6, and so we can write 6 here, but make it 7. I will explain why. So the first column in every table is basically an is ID or identity of that table. So we can write something like school ID. This will be an integer. So this will basically be the ID of record in our table. Whenever a record is inserted in a data table, so every record must have a unique ID, and this particular column here will be the unique ID of that record. It will be of integer data type. We can give it any length, let's say 5. 5 means, so this length here is basically how many characters will this particular integer value take. For example, 5 means let's say our integer value is 1 2 3 4 5. So in this integer value there are 5 characters, so it can take 99999. So it can take these many records, you can say. If you there are, instead of int, there is all these numeric values are tiny int, small int, medium int, simply int, or big int. You can go to this website of official website of MySQL, where what are the meaning or what is storage in bytes, and minimum and maximum values that can be assigned here. So you can see for int the storage bytes is 4 bytes, and it can take minimum value between this range and this range that is given here. So int is a good choice for small and medium sized tables. And then we'll go to another column here. It will be the school name. Again, school name data will be of string data type, so because it will have alphanumeric characters in it, it will have alphabets, it can have numbers also. So the popular choice or basic choice for a string is varchar, a variable length between 0 to 65 to 535. So it can take any value between 0 to 65,000 and 535. Effective maximum length is subjected to a maximum row size, but again the name of school will be a varchar, and let's say there will be 100 characters in the name. Sometimes the school of names can be really long, so we are considering 100 character names here. And then after school name we have email, website address, phone. So we can write email, website address and phone. Now we'll keep everything to be varchar, and then you have to provide suitable length for every column here. So let's say email is of maximum length 50, website again 50, address can be long, so let's say 150 or 200 characters here. And for phone number, remember there are many ways of taking phone number, like if you are considering the international code or if you are not considering the international code. So let's say at maximum there will be 15 characters in your phone. Again, because in a phone number there can be +91, then hyphen, then 123. So that's why we are keeping it 15, and because there will be alphanumeric values and there will be some special characters also, that's why we are making it a varchar. If you will take phone numbers only in integer format, suppose 10-digit phone number without spaces, without hyphen and without the plus, so you can keep it integer also. Again, it is as per the requirement of client, and it is as per the what type of data will be stored here. Then we decide the length value and the data type. We will do more examples which will make this thing more clear to you. For now you have to consider maximum values can be of varchar or char data type. So let's say we select char here. So let's go and I will hover over to char, and you can see a fixed length 0 to 255, default 1 string. So again, if your fixed length is 0 to 255 characters, you can choose char, or for these values you can select varchar. We select varchar here. Again, varchar and char have different storage size, so I will give you a table where the different storage size for varchar and char will be there. So here you can go to the official documentation of MySQL, and you can see that if your value, these are the values that that might be entered by users, or that we have to store in the database in that particular column. And if you use char, then how that value will be, and for varchar how that value will be. So you can see varchar has variable bytes here. So for varchar of 4 and for char of 4, the storage required will always be 4 bytes in case of char. But again, in case of varchar, if the value is small, so the storage required will be small, so it will be variable. So that's why we are choosing varchar here. And now there is one more important thing here, because we are saying that this school ID is going to be our identity for this table. We saw an example of relational database for a superstore in Northwind database in previous videos, that there was a category table, and after that category table there was a product table, and in that product table there was a they mentioned about category ID of the product. So this ID here, the ID that will be stored here, will actually be used by other tables to identify. Suppose you have to create a student, and you are creating a multi-school database. So there will be n number of schools here, and every school will have a unique ID assigned to it, and the students can be identified with the help of this school ID. So you will understand that in a few moments. But what you have to do here is, there's an option here which is called a_i or auto increment. You have to check this. So it will enable auto increment of this column. So the value in this particular column will not be entered by us, it will be entered by MySQL. If we keep everything as default, so you can see that after increasing or after selecting automatic increment on this particular table, this has been marked as primary key here. So this is how we create primary key in MySQL using Phpmyadmin. This is very simple way. I will also explain you how you can do this by writing a query. So, and also when we are doing this, my Phpmyadmin is actually preparing query for us. So I will show you that query also. So now we have school ID, school name, email, website, address and phone. These columns are there in our table, and we have int data type for school ID. Int stands for integer, and varchar data type for other values here, because string values will be stored here. Alphanumeric values with or without special characters can be stored here. For example, in a email, let's say in email there can be alphabets, there can be numbers, and then there will be special characters. So you have to, this is an example of a string, and that's why we cannot take integer or float values or double values here. We cannot take particularly numeric values here, numeric values like decimal, floating point number, double, real, etc. So that's why we are taking integers here in school ID, and we are taking varchar here in school name. The important thing is, in most of the table in RDBMS there will be a primary key, and in many cases it will be auto increment. So for first record it will be 1, for second record it will be 2, for third it will be 3, and so on. Now scroll down here and you will see an option of preview SQL here. So if you don't want to write query, or if you have not written any query yet, you can see we have some query here. create table dbschool.tbl school id int 5 not null. So again, I am not explaining this query in this part of video, so don't worry about it. But what I want to show is, you can see that phpMyAdmin has prepared a query for you. So you can store this query in any code editor. For example, you can use Notepad++. So I have copied this query, and this is Notepad++. Notepad++ is free to use, is a famous tool for running codes of any particular type. I can show you. So create table, then I'll make some adjustments here so that we can read it properly, and then you will be able to understand what we have done till now. So now it is more readable, and what we are doing here is create table. This is the name of the database in which we are trying to create a table. So DB school is the name of this database, and dot dbl underscore school. So you are writing create table inside DB school, and the name of table will be tbl underscore school. Then there is this open bracket, and this closing bracket is there. This is round bracket here, which is shift plus 9 in our keyboard, and this is shift plus 0 in our keyboard. Now first column's name is school ID. It is of integer data type. It will have 5 values, so it is integer of 5 characters. It is not going to store null values, that's why it is not null, and it is auto increment. Then the other column is a school name. Its data type is varchar. It will have 100 characters. It is also not going to be null. So not null, we will again discuss about null and not null values, but this means it cannot be empty, so it is not null. And it cannot be null, it can be empty, but it cannot be null. So we will understand the difference between empty and a null value in later parts of this series. And similarly, all the columns are written, and then at last primary key is written, and primary key is applied to school ID. Engine is equal to INNO DB. Again I will explain about this also, and again I will recreate this query for you from scratch, and you will see these inverted commas here. These are tilt inverted commas. So in our keyboard this is just below escape, so shift and tilt, and these inverted commas are there. So these are basically parts of the database itself, and these are parts of the database and data table. So that's why the name of database, the name of data table, and the name of columns in that particular table will be enclosed in these inverted commas here. So this symbol here is also known as left quote or back quote, or you can call it anything, acute it is also called. So it is different from this inverted comma here. This is single inverted comma, and this is the, we can say, left quote. So this particular symbol, this selected symbol, let me remove this is just below the escape key, and this is inverted comma, which is just above the shift key on normal keyboards. So three things mainly: database name, table name, and name of columns. So this is these three things are written, these three values are written inside this left quote, and other values that user will provide will be mostly given in single quotes. So again, we will understand about that also. If you will not write this left quote here, so again there will be no error, but it is a good practice to write it in this way. So suppose if you have space in the name of your columns, so then MySQL will be able to understand that the name of column starts from here and ends here. If you have underscores, then you can ignore them. So again, we will create more tables using queries. I will show you examples of creating table without left quotes, with left quotes. I will show you examples of creating tables with column names having space, not having space, so you will be able to understand. We can close this preview because we have already created our table, and then we can hit save here, and now you will see a table is created in our database and it is selected. So now earlier we were inside our server, then we selected our database, and now we have selected a table here. You can see a golden key is created here, and when I am taking my mouse over it, it is printing primary. So yellow key means a primary key. There are other keys also, we will discuss that also, and this is how a table is created. Suppose